Justice. Well, to me personally.
Yeah.
All right. Well, justice is like, let's say, my mother gets killed, right? And the killer is out there, running around Cuba, right? And I want justice. I want the right thing. I want him to get what he deserves. I want him in the jail or death penalty. That's justice right there.
I think justice is what's fair to a person. Like, it's what is like morally right, and it's like what that person deserves and what's fair.
It's a store in the mall.
I'd say, oof, it's kind of hard on the spot, but justice is the strong arm of the law. I'd say in a way, it's like the correct way to handle evil or crime is justice. You know, it's like not really. It's necessarily. It could be like a form of revenge, but it's like it's just like it's the right thing for that situation. So you know, like Batman, Superman, that sort of deal, or just a really good cop.
Justice. That is when Mitchell, you go for it.
Justice is when someone or something does something bad, and
Justice is the punishment.
thank you.
The punishment that you receive for something that you did.
Something bad. The rightful punishment, because that's justice. Because if it was a wrongful punishment, that's not justice.
Fairness.
Well, I know that that's a big problem globally. There's a lot of people that are getting away with, sex trafficking in like different countries. I know it's here prevalent in this country too. A lot of kids are just getting swept up and nothing's being done.
It's a huge problem that not many people are aware of, and I know of it, but I've never seen it. I've never seen it happen, but I've heard that it's always like closer in your community. Sometimes you think of those things as really far away, like something that only would happen like in Africa, but I mean it happens, right downtown.
I don't know.
I don't know much about them. I know it's pretty messed up. Sex trafficking can really wrongly affect someone emotionally and physically. Don't just traffic people who don't want to have sex, And then child sex slavery, that's just wrong.
Yeah.
That's just wrong in every way. Sex is a choice. Shouldn't be forced upon anyone, especially at a very young age when a lot of those children, I'm sure, if they lived in a country where that wasn't a problem as much, they wouldn't even know what sex was yet.
It's going on in the U.S. and not a lot of people know, and that we need to raise awareness of it.
Child slavery happens still today.
I know it goes on, and it's not just a problem that's in foreign countries, it happens here.
Well, I know there's a lot of organizations that are helping to fight this. A lot of us can't just drop everything and go with the organizations, but they definitely can, use financial support to help combat this problem.
I really like the mission of the groups that do come in and the organizations that raise awareness, and I think it's really important that we don't ignore type of things, because I think ignoring it is almost just as bad as the people that are doing it.
Help them know God better.
Well, honestly, I guess I don't really know much about it, like I said, but I mean, I guess I could go on a trip or whatever, spend money.
I know we can work together, just like everyone else, and we can fight for the cause.
What can I do to help solve it? Well, ultimately I can pray that the people that are perpetrating that would be found out. So I guess I can pray for the authorities to be successful in finding out who's carrying these things out.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
I've never heard of it before.
No.
No, have not heard of it. Next question, please.
No.
I have not heard of those.
Okay.
No.
Well, he's right. He's always here.
Well, since God is the ultimate judge, I think he is really disappointed in the injustice that happens here on earth, but obviously he has the power to give justice.
Well, I think God's everywhere, but I mean, sin is still around.
In the same place he was when his son died on the cross.
He's in the same place he was when he allowed his son to take our place on the cross.
That was Lewis's answer.
That's so weird.
That's because I told him that.
Well, I would just ask the question, why is there sin? You know, I mean, it's part of the world, like, injustice is sin. God, I mean, you can't just stop it, you know? It's part of the world. The world's evil.
Because like of the depravity of humans, and because since we're all sinful, I mean, obviously we're gonna violate other people and not be fair. So it's obviously it's not God's fault at all. It's the human's fault.
Well, man caused sin. So I mean, there's always going to be sin, and yeah, obviously God does hate injustice, but I mean, it's part of almost like our punishment that there's injustice, and I mean, God obviously is against it.
Because it's a child.
Because of sinful nature, free will, hell, Satan, demons. So it's not a perfect world we live in.
Well said.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Because the world is full of humans, and there's a lot of sin in the world, and sin breeds injustice and things that are wrong, and ultimately death. So there's no surprise that there's things are going wrong in the world, because sin is here.
Crazy that our friends and family knew so little about the injustices going on in the world. What do you think justice is?
Well, according to the book that we read in class, justice occurs on earth when power and authority between people is exercised in conformity with God's standards of moral excellence. But I forgot what the book said injustice meant.
I think injustice occurs when power is misused to take from others what God has given them.
Wow, that definition of injustice really made me think about the stories that we talked in class about child slavery.
You're right, like the little girl Maria we learned about. She was forced from her home at such a young age and was sold into sex trafficking. And the other little girl from the Oprah video was drugged, stolen, and forced into prostitution as well. They were all given mandatory abortions if they became pregnant, and then immediately forced to have sex after. One of the little girls even said, "I was bleeding and none of them took pity on me." But she also said, courageously, "I'm not a victim, I am a survivor."
The crazy thing about these stories is that they're not even unique. 2 million children are trafficked annually, and 50,000 of them are brought to the U.S. Like, brothel owners look at these girls as money, not people, and like just business. Conviction rate is lower than 50% because you must have undeniable case against them. If owners are caught, they only have to serve 10 to 20 years in jail, like maximum. Law enforcement often look the other way, so that doesn't even happen.
It's also crazy that sex slavery isn't the only form of child slavery. There's also BD slaves in foreign countries. that make little beady cigarettes, or used to rather, and these slaves were only sold for about $25. They had to make 500 rolls a day, and they had to work 10-hour days, 6 days a week. One little girl was forced to work for him, even after she continued to have multiple seizures. They were beat if they arrived late, and one little boy was burned because he ran away to just play with his friends.
So, what do you think we can do to help solve it?
Well, injustice doesn't really seem real to Americans since we don't see it in the U.S. too often. But in Gary Haugen's book, he says, all that is necessary in the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing, because the oppressors know. The reasons people do nothing is because we've all lost hope. But there are 3 things that we can do, and those 3 things are we could either go there, to the place that injustice is happening, send someone else by giving money, or we could pray about it. But if we choose to go there, we really need to prepare before we go.
In class, we heard a lot about the International Justice Mission, which I think is a good thing that we can be praying for. An issue that they deal with is freeing children from slavery. So they turn kids over to missionaries, psychologists, churches. They say if it is only one child saved, it is worth it. Their first step is to get the facts, then to substantiate the facts by asking the right questions, and then to collect all the evidence. They have a really strong faith and trust in God to shield them from temptations like going into strip clubs and stuff like that. And I just think this is a really good organization that we can be praying for and maybe even give money. Some people really struggle with like seeing God through all the injustice in the world. Where do you think God is?
Well, God hates injustice, and he calls his children to fight against it. But he's suffering right there with all the people that are suffering with all these injustices. God understands that we won't comprehend all the injustice that he witnesses, but we should try to understand more to know God better. Well, Hannah, it's really great that God's right there with all the people being oppressed, but if he hates injustice so much, why is there so much of it?
There are over 800 Bible verses about God's passion for justice. God values a real relationship with all his children, so he lets us choose our decision, which is free will, and some choose evil instead of God.
Wow, I never really thought of it that way.
Wow, Courtney, all this talk about injustice really just makes me want to do something.
Me too, Hannah. Let's go do something right now.
Good. Perfect. Yay.
Thanks, Lily.
Thank
Hey.
you so much for your time.
Thanks, guys. Should I press stop?
Justice is as said.
Excuse me?
Thank you for your time.
Okay, you're very welcome.
Good.